hotels, right? So my when I try to, like, I also plan my own trips, right? So one point which I look at when I'm looking at booking hotels is how near it is to airport, if my destination where I'm booking hotels is the first or the last one, right? Because then it becomes very convenient if you are to catch a flight from that destination. But then there are
Yes.
cities wherein the cities are very large in geography, and during that time it becomes a very important factor where you book the hotels, right? If you are very located far away from the key destinations, right, it's an unnecessary addition of cost, right? Because the cab or
Correct.
whatever you're
Correct.
using. So how do you plan booking the hotels? Like, what are the factors you look at before looking at the shortlisting hotels, and then how do you book them?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point and valid question. I agree up to a certain extent that it would be easier if you book it near the airport. But the thing is that airport usually use it once or twice in a trip. While if
Correct.
there is no interconnecting flight, then it will be like when you're going from India to that country and then coming back. So my choice across all these 4 5 cities which we covered was always a city center, because city
Okay.
center is a place where most of the attractions are nearby, and if they're not nearby, you get good choice of transport from the city center, because all the buses, all their offices,
Correct.
everything is located in the city center. Now when it comes to Croatia, because it has a large coastline, it's a coastal country, and the cities, most of the cities which you would cover when you're going to Croatia would be the coastal cities. So the port is another important thing, because you might have to use port for some attractions and everything, or to travel to different city also. So even the port is also always, most of the times, it's in most of the cities is located near the city center. Plus, in Europe, in certain cities, at least in Croatia, in the city of Split and Dubrovnik, there is a concept called as Old Town and New Town. Now, Old Town is where most of the attractions are located, and you will be spending most of your time for attraction, at least for traveling, or taking photos or sightseeing, which we call. Now that those old towns are, most of the times they are at the city center, and that's why city center is was my preference throughout the trip. Another point which I would like to mention is the bus stops, the major bus stations. Because I used, most of the times I used bus from traveling from one city to another city. So bus stations are very, in a very close proximity in the city center area. So that was my choice, and I used to actually search for the bus stations as well, the distance from a hotel to bus stations, because you might not you get it most of the times. You might not sometimes get cab easily. So it's good if a bus station is in walkable distance from your hotel, and they're always at the city center. That's my observation. So that was my criteria.
Okay, so can you share which hotels you booked, right? Or hotels, or maybe Airbnbs or resorts you booked in Slovenia and Croatia, so that it might help. And you can maybe share the reviews of those hotels. We'll put in the photos and clippings, if any, so that users, if they're viewers, if they're looking at this podcast, they can have a reference, and if they want, they can book the same property during the stay.
Yeah, so most of them, most of my stays were like apartment stays. Because one thing which I observed in Croatia is the hotels in city center area are limited, and whatever hotels there are in the city center area, they're pretty expensive. So I went for apartment options. Apartments are super good, very well maintained, and you won't feel like any difference as such, apart from the room service and other things which are available in hotel. Apart from that, you get blankets, towels, clean towels, napkins, toiletries, a lot of things. It's like fully loaded apartment, which I observed. So for most of the places, it were apartments. Few of them which I can recollect right now is in Ljubljana. I did stay in apartments Maria. It was name was apartments Maria. It was in city center near the bus stop. In Split, it was Airbnb, which I can share the link. Dubrovnik as well. It was again Airbnb apartment. I can share the link with you. Then there was a third city which we covered. It's a remote, it's not a very famous city of Croatia, but I wanted to just spend my couple of days, last 2 days of my trip in leisure, just, just rewinding myself and just chill. Because in Europe, in most of the destinations, you have to walk like a lot. So that's I think it's not a leisure trip as such. So this was opportunity to spend something in leisure and that too in Europe. That's why I found out this place called Makaraska, uh, where we stayed in a beach facing sea facing hotel. The name of the hotel was Valamar Meteor. There is a It's a famous chain. Valamar is a famous hotel chain in
Right.
Croatia. And then the fifth stay was just for the sake of taking the return flight, which was in the capital city, Zagreb. Another point which is related over here that would I would like to mention: Croatia is one of the very few countries where the tourists visit other cities as compared to their capital, Zagreb.
Okay.
So their capital city, Zagreb, experiences the least tourists as compared to their other cities. So that's very rare. I think so there are only 3 4 countries like that in Europe. But that's the
Okay.
case because Zagreb doesn't has much attractions as such. So again over there, I think we stayed in some apartment. It was a Airbnb apartment, or I booked it from Booking.com. The one in Zagreb. You can share the link. So this was basically on the apartment. So it was just one hotel, like I said,
Right.
in the city of Makarska, and apartments for the rest of the city.